that depression and anxiety are what they really are is the body's notification. The body is calling me back home. My mind has gone too much in the future or too far in the past. And when I'm getting anxious or depressed, that is my body going, hey, come home.
Today's guest is Laura Rose, the founder of Sacred Soul, where she helps people heal, grow, and reconnect with their inner light. She is a Reiki master, certified meditation teacher, end of life guide, intuitive channel, and spiritual mental medium. Laura is also the author of the upcoming book, Shift Your Energy, Shift Your Life, which shares practical tools for creating lasting transformation by shifting your energy and perspective. Welcome, Laura.
Welcome. Thank you. I'm so excited to be here. Thank you for having me.
I'm so excited. This sounds really interesting conversation.
I hope it is.
With that said, what is one of the most courageous things that you have done?
I would have to say the most courageous thing I've done is actually make the choice to start healing my life. I was someone who struggled for decades with depression, anxiety, binge drinking, workaholic. There was just this awful cycle I was in. And there came this point where I could feel that I needed to make a choice. It was time to either start healing or just continue down this path that was probably going to lead to an early exit of Earth. And I decided to start healing, and it was incredibly hard. But I feel like it was one of the most courageous things I've ever done.
You speak openly about growing up in that environment of domestic violence. How did those early experiences shape the person you've become today?
When I was struggling so much, I just was in this constant loop around things that were said to me as a child or things I witnessed or felt as a child. And I was just in this constant loop. When I started the path to healing, I was able to see my parents for just humans just like me. And that helped me to just go, okay, that's them. That doesn't have to be a reflection of me. And using that in my work to help others, I find that I attract to me a lot of people that have had a lot of the same challenges I have had in the past. So people that grew up in domestic violence, people that had relationships that were unhealthy, people that had unhealthy relationships with alcohol. And I love the way that I'm able to use my past experience to understand their current pain and to use that to have this sense of empathy to help them grow. And I also openly share my story because I feel that it gives people hope. So when they're sharing what they're going on and they have all this sense of shame and guilt, and then I can say, hey, I understand, I've been there. You can see this, okay, Laura's been there. Laura's healed it. Okay, there's hope for me. And that's what I like to use those past experiences and use it to bring that hope that there's a light at the end of this tunnel. And then the intuitive messages and the healing that we do together helps people so much. And it brings me a lot of joy to see people transform over the years.
That's amazing. And I can't imagine. You must have gone through a lot. Was there a moment when you realized something had to change?
Yeah, I write about it in my book, but there was this moment when I was walking along a river in Indiana, and we had gotten a lot of rain, so the river was way, way, way up high. And I was walking and I was thinking about throwing myself in it. I was ready to leave Earth, and I am not a strong swimmer. And I kept thinking I could just be done. I could just be done. And looking back, I'm like, that would be an absolutely horrible way to go. But I just, in my mind, I just was so full of pain. And not long after that, a friend of mine gave me a business card to someone who does energy work. And I had no clue at all what energy work was, but it said that she could help with depression and anxiety. So those two events coming together in a close period of time, I thought, you know what? I have tried therapy. I have tried medicine. I've tried all the things. I'm going to try this. And that is the moment that really unlocked those doors for me. And it gave me the hope I needed that there was a possibility, there was more for me than what I was experiencing. And so that event together is what then started the path to healing.
For one, I am glad you're still here and you did
I am too.
do something about that
Yeah.
card you
Yes.
received.
I'm glad I'm here too.
Yeah.
And I'm glad to it was amazing. Once that healing started, it was I felt like I had been in this deep dark hole for so long. And it was like all of a sudden I found myself seeing how beautiful the planet is and how much there is here to experience. And it was amazing to just it was like this I don't know, something had just been lifted from me, and I could see this was in a beautiful, amazing place to be. And I couldn't wait to experience more of it and then turn around and help others that are just like me, that are having those same struggles.
You have been very honest about experiencing suicidal thoughts. What would you like people to know that may be struggling right now to understand from your experience?
Yeah, it was something that I had struggled with since the age of 14. And by the time I found someone who helped me with that energy work, I was 39. So that was a very long time to struggle with this. And I want people to know that they're not alone. It feels, and when you're in it, you feel alone. You feel completely isolated. You feel alone. And you honestly feel like you're doing the world a favor if you were to snuff out your light. That's how you feel. You feel like, oh, I'm doing everyone a favor if I just leave. But the truth is, your experience has value. Who you are has value. Your experience, your pain, it has value. And it's just a matter of let's see what we can do with that so that we can turn around, heal ourselves, and help others. For me, that was highly transformational to take what my experience and see that there is still beauty on this planet. And how can I help others to see it too? I believe that everyone has a mission and purpose, and there's a mission and purpose through our pain. So I think what I would want someone to know is that there is hope at the end of the tunnel, but it's about finding the right way for someone to find that healing for themselves. For me, it was clearing energy. It turned out I was highly empathic, and highly empathic and clairsentient people, we feel the pain of others. And if we don't realize that it's other people's pain, we feel like we're carrying the weight of the world on our shoulders. We're feeling everybody's stuff. Once someone started clearing that and helping me understand what I was and what I was doing, the load I was carrying got lighter and lighter and lighter. And then it became about changing my mindset, because my default was when things got bad, I should just exit the planet. That was my default because I had done it for thought that way for so long. Once that energy started clearing, I could start making different choices in my thought patterns of, yes, this is hard, but that's okay. We're going to get through it. And I started just changing those thought patterns. So for me, clearing the energy was vital to being able to start shifting my thought processes to something else.
That's absolutely beautiful and beautifully explained as well. Thank you for that, Laura. Yeah.
You're welcome.
Was there a particular turning point that changed everything for you?
That energy healing session was
Mhm.
that was the game changer. She walked in, and I've told the story many times and I laugh about it because I didn't know what energy healing was. I was definitely not a spiritual person. I did not know I was intuitive. I just was very much in the eat sleep work cycle. And I only went because it said she could help with depression and anxiety. I thought it was like a massage. And I remember I shaved my legs and got all ready for this massage I was going to get. And I walked in, and with energy work, they don't even necessarily touch you. Some
Mhm.
healers do. Everything I do is distant. So you don't have to touch someone. So she just walked in and kind of put her hands like this. She hadn't even introduced herself yet. And this energy that I was carrying just went screaming out of my body. I could feel it. And I was just like, I don't understand what's happening. And she looked at me and I looked at her, and we both started just sobbing instantaneous, because she was also clairsentient. So she could feel all of my stuff. I could feel it moving through me. We're both crying. And she goes, "Oh, honey, you don't have to feel this bad." And I was just like, I don't even understand what's going on or what this is. But
Wow.
that was the moment when I could feel all of it leaving, and having this wonderful person that turned into a teacher and mentor for me, where she said, "Listen, you have so much more that you're here to do. I'm going to help you get this energy clear so that you can really get on your path." She's like, "You have books to write. You've got all these followers that are coming out." And at the time I was like, I don't understand what is happening. I thought this was a massage. But for me, that was such a transformational moment, to have somebody feel the pain that I was feeling, and to look at me and say, "This isn't even all yours. Let's get this off of you,
Mm,
and let's start making some changes." And that was the moment. It was a game changer, and it was amazing. It was amazing to have that happen.
absolutely incredible. How wonderful. How did Reiki, meditation, and spiritual practices become part of your life then?
Yeah. So I she was a wonderful mentor who basically she knew she was going to be retiring, and she was very intuitive, and knew that what she had an understanding of where my path was going. So she was a wonderful mentor in helping me with this. I could, once I wasn't so bogged down in my pain, I was able then to go, okay, let's try some meditation. That's supposed to be very helpful with quieting the mind. I knew that I wanted to continue to receive Reiki because of the experience I had had with her. And I saw her twice a month for several months, to help me navigate, because, we got that energy flowing, but that didn't mean that life got easy. I remember meditating in the fetal position for months, and just every time my mind got quiet, I was sobbing, because there was just so much I was carrying. And so when you ask me what was the most courageous thing I've done, and I've said healing, that period of time was hard. It
Mm,
would have been much easier to just say, I'm going to go back to binge drinking, and I'm going to go back to how I've always coped with pain. Instead, it was sitting with it and sitting alone with it. That was very hard. So that started that transformation. The meditation became really, and I always tell people, my mind even now isn't quiet when I meditate, but it's about
mhm.
creating opportunities for peace in your day. And that was very vital for me to start shaking up those old programs and thoughts around my worth, and finding opportunities to have some more peace and quiet. It also really fired on my intuitive abilities, because I was creating space for quiet instead of constantly distracting myself, whether it was working or alcohol or TV or whatever.
An amazing transformation just there in itself. Wow.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
that's why we help and do what we do, because we've had the experience of going through things. Yes.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Many people are curious about intuition but don't know where to begin. How would you describe intuition, and how can people start reconnecting with their own inner wisdom? Because we've all got that inner wisdom in us.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I actually just finished a workshop series on awakening to your intuition. I think one of the most important things to understand is that intuition comes to us in different ways. When I started my journey, I thought that intuition only would come through in visions. Like I felt like every intuitive person you would hear, they would talk about like their vision that they got. And so in my mind, that was what intuition looked like. It took me a long time to understand that intuition comes to us in different ways. So for me, I'm highly clairsentient, which means I feel in my body. So for example, if I hug someone, I might all of a sudden feel really bogged down afterwards. And if I don't understand that I'm clairsentient, I may not understand that I feel bogged down, because I am now feeling their energy. when I do one-on-one sessions, a few minutes before a session, I'll just say, okay, I'm ready to connect. I will connect to that person's energy. I will feel all their blocks, their energetic blocks. I might feel their heartache. I might feel their throat chakra. And so when my client's on, I will explain to them what I'm feeling. That's clairsentience. Clairvoyance is when we get visions. Over time, I've unlocked more of those. So the more intuitive you become, the more you start to unlock more of these. So claircognizance is where information just seems to show up in your brain and you don't even know where it came from. For example, I'll use claircognizance if I'm taking a walk in the woods and I wonder what type of tree I'm looking at. And I'm like, what type of tree is that? The data will just show up in my mind. And then I'll have, okay, that's claircognizance. Clairaudience is where you might hear the message. Typically, I'll hear things in this ear. And so you might get a message, and it might even sound like your own voice, which is very tricky because you will think that it's not a message from somewhere else. But that's how clairaudience works. Over time, your intuition will encompass all of those things. And you get this really big, beautiful picture. It's like going from 2D to 3D. And you just get this nice, beautiful understanding. So when we want to connect more to our intuition, it's really about finding opportunities to quiet the mind and to create opportunities for that wisdom to come to you. Me and several people I know find that we get a lot of intuition and intuitive messages when we get in the shower. And it's because we quiet our mind and we're on autopilot. We know how to wash ourselves. And so we just get really quiet in our mind and we're just relaxing in the nice water. And then the question you had the day before, all of a sudden the answer pops in and you're like, oh, okay. That's really common. And it's because we finally just relax enough for this message. I just feel like just sits there going, hush, be quiet your mind so we can hop in. And then once it hops in, we have it. So that's beautiful ways for your intuition to fire on. But meditation I found to be a really helpful tool in learning how to create that space. And I always say that, you create the space for it. You receive the message. You have to be open to how it comes in. Sometimes they'll come in a many different ways. But if you understand how your intuition works, that's a really vital part. And then you have to trust and take action. That's when you have all of those pieces together. That is how you learn how to truly trust your intuition, because they can bring you the message, but if you never trust it or take action, you don't receive the proof that your brain needs to trust that you're intuitive. That's the key I feel like always the last step. You have to trust it and take the action. Your brain requires proof. Your brain is like, I want to see the proof of it. When you take that action and everything magically works out, then it's when you have received the proof and your brain goes, oh, I am intuitive. This is exciting.
Wow. And that's really beautifully explained. There's a lot to it, isn't there? I
There
didn't quite
is, but
realize.
it could
Yeah.
be simple. It could be more
Mm-hmm.
simple than we realize. It's
Mm-hmm.
just about, but I'm with you. Everyone is intuitive.
Yeah.
Everyone has that. It's about understanding how your intuition comes to you. If you understand that, unlocks half of the mystery, and then start trusting yourself to take the steps.
Thank you for explaining that so well. You describe yourself as an intuitive channel and spiritual mental medium. Can you explain what that means and how that gift developed for you?
Yeah, absolutely. When I am in one-on-one sessions, or even I do once a week, I'll do lives. I'll do them on YouTube and my Facebook page, where I will pull an oracle card and talk about the energies for the week ahead, and then we'll do a quick little energy clearing. Or if I'm one-on-one in a session, I am not just clearing the client's energy, filling their energy and clearing it. I am staying open for their guidance to come through. And frequently I'll have a client who's booked something because they're struggling with things and they can use the assistance. The spirit guides tend to talk through on this side of me, and I am just acting as a channel to share. So if someone is explaining what they're working through, the guides will come in with it's frequently a different perspective. We have a tendency to look at life like this, and the guides and helpers come in and they're just like, move those blinders away. Let me show you the whole perspective. Let me help you understand the big picture of why this is happening and why you're navigating this. That is how it'll come through, and it's meant to help elevate the client and elevate the situation they're working through. So we'll have all of this going on while I'm clearing the energy in their chakras or in their body and raising their vibration. So that's when I'm talking about intuitive channel. That's what's happening. There's multiple things happening. It's an hour-long session, but it's action-packed. And so we're just doing all sorts of things. We also, though, have loved ones in spirit that come through. So as a medium and channel, I am navigating various things. I might have loved ones in spirit tend to come to me on this side, which is very helpful to help me differentiate. I also have had experiences where the client's loved one is in advanced stages of dementia. And so my client is navigating the grief and the worry and I don't know how to help them, and they're struggling, and the loved one will come through, their spirit self, their soul self will come through and provide guidance to the client on this is what this person needs. I also have had clients come to me that are navigating, they have maybe a pet that's near end of life. And now I've got the pet coming in with guidance on how to best support them as the pet is getting ready to transition. So it's as a medium and channel, there's all these various things that come through to help support the client. And when we have our loved one is still living, but maybe nearing end of life, the messages can come through to help the client know how to best support that person or their pet. So that's what that means. And I think your other question was, how did that develop? Using it and trusting it. 7 years ago, when all of this happened, when this awakening happened, I did not believe I was intuitive at all. It was during practicing energy healing work on people that I started to realize that I could feel their energy. When I said connect, all of a sudden I could feel their blocks. So then I started to understand, okay, I'm intuitive. In one-on-one sessions, I will tell you, it takes a great amount of courage to get a message and then tell somebody, especially when you're questioning if you're intuitive at all. And so I finally just had to quit being afraid and then say, I'm getting this impression, and watching the client go, yeah, that's exactly what that's it. That's exactly it. And over time, that gave me more and more confidence, because, I said earlier, you got to trust it and act on it. That trust and act was where I was having a hard time, because I wasn't trusting. Once I started trusting and verbally telling people that I don't know at all what's coming through, and watching them heal and receive what they needed to hear and get that bigger perspective, then I started to trust my intuition more and more. And once you trust it, it's like it just opens up wider and wider and wider, and comes through in different ways. For a long time, I didn't trust that I was clairvoyant. And I actually signed up and did a virtual mediumship circle, because I was really struggling to trust in what I was seeing. I kept thinking I was making it up. I intentionally put myself in a situation where I did not know any of these people. I didn't know their backgrounds. And then I stayed open to the visions and the people coming through. And then I would relay them in this virtual circle. And I can't even tell you how sweaty I was. I was so nervous and so sweaty. And then telling someone, okay, I've got this person. This is what they look like. That's the clairvoyancy, is the visions. And having them go, oh yeah, I know who that is. That's so-and-so. Those are the things that how we learn to trust our intuition, is literally putting ourselves in a situation that's absolutely terrifying, and having to trust and create the action.
That's amazing. And absolutely, there is a lot of trust there, and it's being able to actually trust yourself. And wow,
I figured
brilliant.
if I failed miserably, I just didn't have to come back.
The one way to look at it.
I was like, I'll never see these people again. I don't have to come back. But I needed to test it and just really test that clairvoyancy, because that was the last piece that I was not trusting. I definitely trusted the clairsentience. I trusted the other. It was the visions that I was like, I feel like I'm making this up. And I had to put myself in a situation to test it.
And that's really courageous to actually do that. Really. Yeah.
I can't even tell you how sweaty I was.
Yeah. So, what role has self love played in your healing journey? Because I'm
Oh,
imagining that would have to be a big role, really. But you tell me.
yeah. Yeah, absolutely. What's interesting is, my healing journey at this point it started in 2019. So we're like 7 years in. And it's very interesting to me because I can look back and see where the self love was happening, but it was happening when it was tied to achievement, because I'm a very achievement oriented person. So when I would read the books or unlock new levels of intuition or bring new clients in, or whatever, very goal oriented. I'm a Virgo. Like I'm all, so I would have these goals, and I would love myself more based on this achievement. What's interesting is I have found that in the last maybe 8 months, there has been this shift where it's been, what if you just love yourself as you are? Not perfect, not reading books, not unlocking anything, not working harder. What if you just love yourself just the way you are? And that has been where that transformation's been going, where I've just found that I'm putting away the extra learning. I'm not watching the YouTube videos. I'm not taking workshops or classes. I'm going, just be. Just be. Don't distract yourself anymore. Just be. You know that if there's some information that you're meant to have, your guides are going to get it to you. So you know how to do that now. So just be and focus on loving yourself. And I think, especially as women moving through, like I'm in the perimenopause stage, and we're moving and our brains are rewiring, and there's all these shifts happening. There's even more opportunity for self-love there. There's grief in the changes that are happening in my body. And then there's also this love, 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 love yourself fiercely. And that is where I'm moving even more into. I'm actually, a workshop series I have starting this month is all around learning to love yourself just as you are. And I'm actually looking at creating a retreat sometime next year for a long weekend that's all around this theme. And it's just about putting aside the achievement. I have these followers that have been going to workshop after workshop after workshop so they can learn and be more intuitive and all the things. And now I'm like, stop,
Yes.
just be. They're like, what? It's time though. We're moving into that place of self-love. And what we're starting to understand is when we move in that self-love, our vibration lifts even higher. And that's us shining our light even brighter and being more in service to the planet, just because our vibration is that much higher through love. Instead of, I will be happy when this happens, or I will love myself more when I'm this way. Just love yourself now, just as you are. And that raises your vibration more than anything else.
And listeners, how simple is that? Do that, if not anything else. Just do that.
Yeah.
Wow, that's amazing. Your upcoming book is called Shift Your Energy, Shift Your Life. What inspired you to write that, Laura?
The first 7 years of this journey is what inspired me. I wanted so all along, my goal has been to help as many people as possible to get out of the darkness. Like the darkness I was in 7+ years ago, I don't wish that on anyone. And I wanted to create something that, especially for people who read, like I love to read, I like to highlight, I like to put notes and different things. I wanted to create something for people who wanted an easy guide to transforming and raising their vibration. When you do that, you stop resonating vibrationally with depression, anxiety, guilt, shame. And those things, it's like they naturally start to heal when you start moving through and going, okay, let me just focus on gratitude for the day.
Mm-hmm.
It starts moving your vibration up, and you don't resonate with depression and shame. There was a time I never ever thought I could be someone who didn't rely on alcohol to get through my evenings. And I can look back now and see when I started doing, I don't even call it the work, but doing what I needed to raise my vibration through meditation or gratitude practice or whatever. I stopped resonating with the vibration of alcohol because I was using it to just to numb and distract. I no longer wanted to do that. And it was because my how I felt in my body wasn't so torturous. So it's interesting what starts to happen. You start to stop resonating with things that have really were helpful for me. I mean, I look back and I'm like, yeah, alcohol wasn't the best thing for me, but honestly, in the I didn't have the coping mechanisms. So they were, in a way, it was helping me in that period of time that I needed. But then there came a point that my vibration was no longer a match. And now I'm just like, I'm good. I don't need it. Or I'll have one drink and then I'm like, oh, I'm good. I like how my vibe feels without it. I'm good. So it's very interesting how that starts to happen. And so I wanted to create a book that would give people, the goal is for it to be easy. We want it to be very easy. I feel like spirit wants this to be an easy thing for us. So the book is not very fat. It's nice and easy. It's here's the one day, this is what you're going to work on. Next day, next day, next day. There's a pre-order bonus that'll be coming out. That's a journal that goes along with it, where people can write down what they're grateful for and what they plan on doing for the day to raise their vibration and things like that comes all together to bring that together. So that was the goal behind the book. And I'm very intentional with sharing some of my really hard stories because I want people to know they're not alone in their suffering. I feel like people often look at me and think I've got it together. I don't necessarily have it all together, but let me show you how ugly it used to be so that you can see how much better it can be. So that's how the book came to be. And I can feel there's other books in me, but right now I'm focused on shift your energy, shift your life, and getting that out into the world.
Oh, that's amazing. Sounds absolutely beautiful. What does it actually mean to shift your energy?
Yeah. So as we raise our vibration, you can think of the universe acts as a magnet. So as we're shifting our vibration, and so we have kind of maybe so I'll use me for example. So I'm hanging out in depression, anxiety, guilt, and shame. And guilt, shame, and depression, anxiety ate me up. One of the reasons I drank so much is because I would need it so that I would fall asleep not having panic attacks. It was just this constant cycle of panic attacks as I was falling asleep. So as I started doing this work to really start going within and raising my vibration and the different ways I describe in the book, bit by bit by bit, my vibration started increasing. Meanwhile, I was getting the energy healing done as well, which the book actually has recorded Reiki infused meditations that go along with it so that people can receive that energy work along with it. So as they're raising a vibration, they will have a way to clear some of that energy as they go. When we shift our vibration, the universe acts as a magnet. And so the universe goes, oh, look, you don't hang out in this vibrational frequency anymore. So we're going to go ahead and remove these things from your life. So whether for me, that was alcohol and it was a high stress job and all this stuff. So it just started going away. And look, you're at a higher vibrational frequency, so let's bring you better things. So we'll bring you a job that's better aligned. We'll bring you people that are better aligned. We'll bring you habits and activities that are better aligned. And as you do this, it happens naturally. You don't even have to. There's all sorts of books on manifesting and co-creating, the book does touch on that, where you're being intentional about what you bring in. But understand that it will naturally start to bring in better for you just because your vibrational frequency is at a higher vibe. And that's why you just naturally start to change your life.
So, what are some of the most common patterns or beliefs that keep people stuck?
Very good question. I find, because I do a lot of one-on-one sessions, and that gives me a beautiful opportunity to know where people where they're at, right? It helps me to gauge that. It helps me to, because I put together workshops, 2 workshops a month, and that helps me to figure out, okay, what do people need? Okay, perfect. So what I find most is that people think they're not okay where they're at. They'll think,
Mm.
so let's just say I'm sharing information, and I'll have clients that constantly throughout the whole session, yeah, I need to start doing that. I should do that. I got to do that. I need to get doing this. There's this idea of I constantly have to keep working. I constantly have to keep working. And we mentioned before, yes, but you also, sure, yeah, start a gratitude journal, whatever. That stuff is important. It absolutely is in raising your vibration, but it's also just loving yourself just as you are where you are. And I think a lot of people struggle with the love of self, the idea that they're deserving of their own love. A lot of people, myself especially back then, and I sometimes will find myself fall into it, this idea that we only are fulfilled from what's outside of us.
Mm.
We are completely whole and just as we are. We are made with love. We are love. We radiate love. We don't have to seek anything outside of ourselves because we are complete just as we are. I remember feeling so broken and incomplete. I remember constantly reaching for different partners and different alcohol and distractions and shows and
Mm.
all the things to try to fill this huge, what felt like a huge hole in my body. We're actually whole and complete as we are. It's about tuning in and becoming exactly what you need instead of seeking it outside of ourselves. So, what I find in one on ones is that people are frequently trying to find frantically something outside of themselves because they think they're so broken. And people struggle to see that all they're missing is turning their focus to themselves and pouring love into themselves. Does
Yes,
that make sense?
absolutely. And we do, it's always within us. Whatever we're looking for, whatever we're searching for, is within us. Never, ever outside of us. Yes.
No.
Absolutely makes sense what you're saying. Yeah.
Yeah. When we seek outside of ourselves
Mm.
constantly, we are left frequently very empty handed.
Mm-hmm.
And what that does is it reinforces this idea in the mind that we aren't good enough. So I have, like, for me, example, growing up in domestic violence and child abuse. So I have in already playing in the back of my mind of, I'm not loved, I'm not good enough, blah, 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 blah. And then I'm seeking outside of myself for that love. Of course, I'm being very, very needy and very, very clingy and attached. And you've got people going, please get away from me, you're crazy. Well, that just reinforces that idea of see how I'm not loved. And
Mm-hmm.
that just creates this bigger feeling of emptiness within us. If early on I had just said, I'm not going to seek outside of myself for this love, I'm going to pour into me what I keep trying to pour into somebody else, I would have found that my cup felt very full, and that I would have naturally raised my vibration. And then I would have attracted to me much, much sooner the right type of partner for me, and just the right friendships, the right jobs, the right experiences. It all would have come in a lot sooner than in my 40s.
Like they say, the right time is when it happens.
Absolutely.
Yes. So, what practical steps can listeners take today to begin creating positive shifts in their lives?
I think the easiest number one way is gratitude. And you can, if you like to write, you can put something in a journal. If you just want to walk around throughout your day with, and you can think of it as putting like the lens of gratitude over your eyes and just walk around throughout your day realizing how blessed you are. You can like, for example, I'll think about, gosh, I'm so grateful for this body. This body lets me hike and whitewater raft and, go for walks. And I get to do that because I have this body. I am so grateful for this body. I'm grateful I have a roof over my head and I've got food in my fridge. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Walking around with that lens of gratitude, that is the easiest way to raise your vibration. I can find myself in funks. I'm human. I will get into these funks, especially with those hormone changes, and I will get into these little funks, and I'll be like, girl, remember your gratitude. And when you start doing that and you start thinking about how grateful you are, and really let that anchor into your heart. Yeah, it's not just about saying it. It's about really thinking, gosh, I am so blessed. I am really blessed. There's so many people that have less than this, and I am good. I am taken care of. I'm okay. That raises your vibration, I feel like, faster than anything else. And that helps you to see, it's kind of like living like this and then taking those blinders off so you can see how supported you really are. We're so supported. We're so loved. Taking those blinders off through gratitude, you just really start to see the world in a very different way. And I find that to be the number one way to shift my vibration. Spending time in nature is another way that's really wonderful. Our planet is beautifully healing. And when we connect to her vibration, when we take our shoes off and put our feet on the ground or hug a tree or touch a tree or whatever, or even just sit with our back up against a tree, we are connecting to the planet. We are receiving that grounding energy. And she does a lovely job of helping clear energy that isn't serving us anymore. That's another way. When I've had moments where I am just a hot mess. When I moved to North Carolina, I moved 8 hours away from home. I had just gotten a divorce. I sold my house. There was all these big changes that were really hard. And I felt this call to be in the mountains and isolate in a way, to just really focus on pouring love into myself instead of seeking outside of myself. And it was very, very hard at first. And I remember just constantly going to the earth, constantly looking like a crazy person on a trail and laying on a rock because I'm like, I need you to help me. And just receiving that energy, that was highly helpful in helping clearing. So focusing on gratitude and connecting to the earth frequently will help tremendously in raising your vibration and clearing away things that are not serving you.
I couldn't agree with you more. And we are so blessed. We are so grateful for everything we have. And it's actually acknowledging the gratefulness. And how spoilt are we with nature? It really is beautiful out there. If people would just get off their phones once in a while, it might be an idea.
I know. And I can do it too, where I'm like, oh my gosh, I like to read. And so I have a tendency to have, books on my phone. But then I'm like, put your phone away and just be present. Just be present. I'm with you. I'm guilty of doing it too, where I'm just like, I just need to check out for a little bit and read a book.
Yes.
But read a book outside if you need to, and put your feet in the grass while you do it, if that's what you need to do, and just take a breath and just be. Yeah.
And just be, that is it. If someone feels overwhelmed, exhausted, or disconnected from themselves, where would you suggest they start? I know you've just covered some of that. Is there anything else you'd want to add to that?
I would also, especially if someone's feeling like that, when I feel that way, I find it very helpful to do a 10-minute meditation. And there's so many different types of meditations out there. There's meditations where, you're guided. Guided is very helpful, especially if your mind is really noisy. Guided can be very helpful because your brain naturally stops so that it can listen to the voice and the instructions. And that can be really helpful in getting the brain to quiet down and have someone guide you through some breath and things like that. I also enjoy meditation that's just music, or like it has frequency healing tones in it. And just listening to that and creating that 10-minute space where have one hand on my heart, one on my tummy, and just breathe into my heart and remember who you are. Remember, I that depression, that anxiety, that feeling lost has kicked up because my mind has gone typically too far into the future where it's feeling out of control, or it's getting stuck on the past where I can't control that either. And because we can't control any aspects of it, the brain starts panicking and freaking out. Let's put my hand here, and on my stomach, and let's just breathe and remember I'm not in the past and I'm not in the future. I'm just sitting here on my couch taking some breaths, like chill out, like, and sometimes that's another key component for me to get back in my body, because I got a message once from my guides that depression, anxiety are what they really are is the body's notification. The body is calling me back home. My mind has gone too much in the future or too far in the past. And when I'm getting anxious or depressed, that is my body going, hey, come home. I need you to come home right now. Okay, that helps me to recognize what this really is. Let me do a 10-minute meditation and remember and I'm going to come back home to self. I can't do anything about the past or the future, but I can just be present here on the couch. That's what I do when I'm feeling disconnected. When that feeling of disconnected is happening, it's because we're not literally in the body. Come home.
Absolutely love that. And it's so true. It's just being present in the moment, isn't it? Always.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. Yes. And if you're not, it is like anxiety is future thinking.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yes.
Yeah. And depression tends to be thoughts of the
Yeah.
past.
Past.
And you can't control either of them. It's either over or it's in the future. Come home to your body. That's all your body is asking you when you have anxiety or depression. It's asking you to come back home.
What have been the biggest lessons you've learned from turning pain into purpose?
It's interesting because it's not necessarily super profound, but what I have found is how fulfilled I feel. I can't even begin to describe how lost and alone I felt 7+ years ago. And the depression, the anxiety, it was just overwhelming. And moving into this place of healing of self, but also taking that gift that I have been given and using it to help others. I've been given this image many times of you've got the people suffering and you've got the people that are not suffering. I've been given this image many times, and I'm not alone in this. There's many of us that do this, that I keep one foot here, and my job is to pull people over to the other side. I just pull people over. So I walk this line sometimes of pain and that ascended feeling of feeling amazing, but I keep one foot on either side and helping people over to the other side. That to me is, I love what I do. And there are healers that are highly clairsentient that don't want to feel their clients' energy or the pain they're in. And I am one of those healers that I'm like, let me get in there. Let me see how bad you're feeling so that I can feel the transformation over our hour as we clear that and we get you out of it. There are clients where their energy is so bogged down that I always intentionally connect to energy about 5 minutes before I start a session. And it is because some clients, their energy is so bogged down that I start dry heaving because it is so tight and awful. And I'm like, okay, all right. Okay, I know what I'm working with now. And then it's just about getting in there and clearing it and watching people go, I can breathe. My chest can open. I couldn't hardly breathe before. And, being able to tell someone like, I can feel that you can't take a deep breath. And that at the end of the session, they're like, oh my gosh, I can breathe again. Yes. So for me, that brings me the most joy and the most purpose is that helping of others. And I don't know if that really answers your question, but that's the best I can get to it.
I can really hear your passion, absolutely, and
Mm-hmm.
it's amazing. It's amazing.
Mm-hmm.
If there was one key takeaway you want every listener to walk away with today, what would that be, Laura?
I would want people to know that every single one of us has a mission, a purpose, a reason for being here. And it's not as complex as you think it is. We're here to experience, we're here to feel love and to radiate love. We're here to feel joy. We're here to do more of what fills our cup. Sometimes we think our mission and purpose has to be something that, is challenging. And it's not that it's not challenging, but it's really more simple. It's around tapping into your joy, radiating that joy, walking in joy. And that naturally helps others. When they see you and they can feel your vibrational frequency, that naturally raises the vibration of not just you and your neighbors and those that live in your home, but the whole planet, the collective as a whole. So the more you heal yourself, the more you're helping others. It's not selfish for self-care and self-love. You're helping everyone when you do this.
And that's so beautifully put. Yes. And it is about, caring for ourselves. Absolutely. I don't know why people think it's selfish. It's not. It really isn't. Yeah.
No, it actually really helps everyone around you
Mm.
to fill your cup. I was given an image once that ideally we would fill our cup to the point of overflow and then we give to others the overflow.
Mm.
So many of us give whatever little bit we can scrape off the bottom because we're not even taking care of ourselves. The goal is to fill your cup and then you help others with the overflow.
Beautiful. Where can the listeners find you online, your book, and learn more about your work, Laura?
So my business is called Sacred Soul, and my website is sacredsoul444.com. When I first had my awakening, I started seeing number sequences all over the place, and I didn't understand them. And I finally looked it up, and 444 meant you're not doing this alone. And for someone who felt so alone and wanted to end their life, the 444 was really profound. So the 444 is there to remind us that we're not doing this alone. And it's also there as a thank you to Spirit and my guides for supporting me. So Sacred Soul 444, you can find information about my services, the book. I also have a free 7-day email series that has different things that people can do every day to help raise their vibration and to feel better. So we talk about a gratitude practice, we talk about connecting to the planet and the earth. So what we've talked about plus many more items are on there to help people with feeling their best. And it's a great way to get started.
Thank you so much. That's beautiful. So listeners, please do connect with Laura and find out more about her work and sign up to the free 7-day email, and you will learn definitely something. Do connect, and all the links are in the show notes, so please do go ahead.
Once a week I do a free a free live on YouTube and Facebook. So if you're someone that could use a little energetic boost, feel free to check it out. The handle is also Sacred Soul 444, so you can find me on Facebook and YouTube that way too. And I'm here to help, so that's what I'm trying my best to find different ways to help people as best I can.
And that's fantastic. So yeah, if you don't like the writing or emails reading, check out the YouTube and watch it.
Absolutely.
Laura, thank you so much for sharing your insights, your wisdom, and your story with us today. By doing so, you've impacted so many people and truly made a difference. I really want to acknowledge you for your courage, your openness, and the work you are doing around the world. Thank you so much, Laura Rose.
Thank you for having me. I am grateful.
My absolute pleasure. And we are all about Create the Courage to Be Fearless podcast here. What is your definition of courage?
My definition of courage is feeling that alignment, feeling the fear that comes with making changes and taking those steps and doing it anyway. I think it takes great courage when we know what we need to do for ourselves. And we typically will think, well, if I feel fear, it's not in alignment. But the truth is, anytime we take steps that are new to us, feeling some fear is really, really common. So feeling that fear and taking the steps anyway, to me, that is what courage is.